Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready?
Another beautiful Monday morning to talk sport right here on Dominion Television, your channel of choice. This is Dominion Sport. They say the weekends are for actions. Monday are definitely for reactions. And this wonderful morning, we'll be looking at the local stories, the European stories, the world of tennis, the world of basketball. The Super Eagles camp very much opened already. Players are arriving camp at the early hours of the weekend. And also this morning, we'll be giving you more of that on the go on the show. This is Dominion Sport. I am Paul Abe Toluwanime, and I have the expert analyst himself, Samson Balogun, the man with unbiased analysis and undiluted report. Top of the morning to you, Samson. How are you feeling?
Well, beautiful morning to you, Toluwanime, and of course, a beautiful morning to our esteemed viewers out there. It's another Monday morning to talk sport on this dial, and most definitely, as we always say, yes, Mondays are for reactions, weekends are for actions, a lot of actions. Manchester City, did what they know how to do best, and Liverpool also, in the last few games, did what they know how to do, which is to bottle it up. We saw Arsenal drop points and concede for the first time in 8 games. I mean, that's a lot to unpack on this show this morning. And of course, there are so many other things happening on the local scene. We saw what happened in Katsina, and of course, against Barao FC. I mean, there's just too much to talk about.
All right, that's how we're going to start up the show. But you know, we do it on Dominion Sports. We look at the fixtures in the MPFL. That's how we start up the show. Let's look at the results for the weekend games in the MPFL. Fantastic results, for some major teams that were able to pick out all 3 points. Today you have it on the screen. Katsina United against Barao. The game ended 1-1. That's going to be our major focus this morning. Also, Nasarawa United against Kwara United. The game ended 1-1. Wiki Tourist picked up all 3 points against Niger Tornadoes. We have Abia Warriors against Eyimba. We have Kano Pillars against Bayelsa United. We have Rangers International against Shooting Stars. We have Warri Wolves against Ikorodu City. The game ended 2-0 in favor of Ikorodu City. We have Plateau United against Bendel Insurance still to come today. We have Kum Khalifa are going to welcome Rivers United, another big game, and Remo Stars are looking like a team who are set to rejig their season. They're going to welcome El Kanemi Warriors. Let's start off with Katsina United game against Barao FC. But before that, Samson Balogun, because that's going to be our major talking point, let's come to the game between Nasarawa United and Kwara United. The game ended 1-1.
Well, it's really a very big one right there for Kwara United, getting a draw away from home from inform Nasarawa United. I mean, that's really a very big one for Kwara United. And that also underscores the fact that they have evolved since the sacking of coach Tunde Sani in that team. I mean, being able to go away to one of the league leaders and then getting a point away from home, even though it's not too far, they are still in the North Central together. Nasarawa, most definitely, that's right beside Abuja. And then you talk about Kwara, Ilorin. So it's not really too far away. Maybe that's one of the reasons they were able to relax, and they settled in quickly, and that also showed on how they performed on the field of play, the technical interplay between the players, and of course how they got the goal against Nasarawa United. So for me, I think it was all about discipline. It's all about enough time to rest. And of course, the travel plan wasn't, something complicated because they just had to move from Ilorin down to Abuja, not that far. And, I do hope that a time will come that Nigeria will be so interconnected that you don't really have to go to anywhere by bus unless you choose to. There has to be a means, probably by train, which is more relaxed and, of course, quicker.
All right. More results, from the weekend. There you have it on the screen. A fantastic game. When you look at it, let's talk about the Yimba game, the derby over the weekend. The game ended goalless. Abia Warriors welcomed Yimba, and that game ended goalless.
Well, for Abia Warriors, one of the things they have been able to do this season is to stand strong against opponents, big opponents. But then it's just a little bit disappointing that they were not able to get maximum 3 points, because that would have actually pushed them further on the log and, of course, cement their place at the top. But unfortunately, they could not get all the 3 points against the Yimba, even when Nasarawa United also dropped points. So it means that the status quo remains when we talk about the table of the MPFL table as we speak. But it was really a big battle between these two. Don't forget, the Yimba had their fair share of struggles at a point, and they came back, got back a little bit. But then, let's still see if this level of consistency being maintained against the Yimba, at least away from home, they are able to get a point when they return home. If they get the maximum 3 points in their next home game, that will further propel them on the log.
For Stanley Aguma, he keeps his job. It's still at this point instant for him. Right there with the Yimba.
He was given 2 games ultimatum. Stanley Aguma was given 2 games to actually turn things around at the Yimba. And of all the 2 games out of 6, he got 4 points. He won one and he drew the other. Meaning that I don't think there is a better yardstick to judge because if you are given a score, to score yourself over 100 out of what just happened, that means he got about 65 to 70% of the job done. That's for me a pass mark, and it deserves to be. They should just let him off the hook a little bit and let him continue with what he's doing at the Yimba.
All right, let's move away from that. Let's talk Kano Pillars. They played a game, a goalless draw against Bayelsa United. Not still what we want from Kano Pillars. They should be churning out victories, but at this point in time, you look at where they are, a massive struggle. It's just, I think, this season, maybe just 6 goals in the league so far this season. Massive struggle for them, but they were able to pick up 1 point against Bayelsa United.
You see, it's really something big for them. You would consider that 1 point against Bayelsa United, a very big point. That might just be the stop they need to stop them from sliding further when it comes to their deep in form. They have really struggled this season, from management issues, the coaching crisis, down to the players not being up and doing. It's been a lot for them this season. But if you look at the trend, you would see that the game that was played, Ahmed Musa had to be in the starting 11. He was a starter. He was the captain of the day in that game. Maybe that brought a little bit of momentum, a spur of the moment kind of improvement in the team, what we saw. And yes, as it stands, they don't have a substantive coach as we speak. Still Gambo Mohamed in charge on an interim basis. I do hope that they are able to sign sign a coach that can actually guide them. Don't forget, we have said this time and time again since they started having the issue that then Kennedy Boboye was still available. Benga Ogubotele Shooting Stars is still available. Maybe they don't want to sign a coach mid-season. They want to see it through. But if they see this season through, will they survive relegation? I don't think so. But a team like Kano Pillars does not deserve to play in the second tier of the Nigerian football. They deserve to be in the top flight because of what they bring to the table. Kano is a very big city, and most definitely there is a lot they can actually offer. But don't forget that after that issue they had with Shooting Stars, they have had to play their games behind closed doors, and that has also affected them in one way or the other. Probably if they had played with their fans at the stadium, they probably would have won against Bayelsa United. Bayelsa is also struggling since they came to Ibadan, got the victory, crumbling. How do they go about it to nip this in the bud before it becomes a further problem? Is to make sure that they have a coach in charge, a qualified coach. I'm not saying Gambo is not qualified. I'm just saying a certified coach, an household name. We have had so many coaches who are still out of. There are so many coaches who are still out of job. But right now, someone should look in the area of Coach Yemi, who left Yimba, has not signed for any club. I mean, he's a fantastic coach. He took over mid-season, did well for Yimba, but last season he could not replicate the same form he did 2 seasons ago, and that's how he lost the job. But I still feel like they can actually bring a coach, a young one, who understands the job. I mean, the material is there, save for the fact that most of them are old. We were talking about Abdullah Shehu, a former right back for the Super Eagles. He's still in the team. He was on the bench yesterday. You are talking about Ahmed Musa. Yes, he's a fantastic player, a good runner, a fantastic goal scorer, but he's old. Rabiu Ali is not the player he used to be. So a lot of changes has to be done in the team. One of the strategy is to make sure that you reduce the average age of the players in that team to about 25 or 30. That's between 25 and 30. If you're able to do that, that narrows it down. Rabiu Ali is about 45 years of age, official age. I mean, that's what is on his passport. It shows that he's been there for a long time. And you look at Ahmed Musa, official age, Ahmed Musa should be around 35 or thereabout. And Abdullah Shehu is almost the same range. I mean, how do you play an an intense MPFL game with those players in your starting 11? I don't see how you want to survive. Even the goalkeeper is also one of the aged players in the team. So these are strategic areas where you need young blood. Unfortunately, they do not have that right now. Or if they have that, most of them are still sitting and rotting on the bench. There should be a rejig of what the team looks like. The Ahmed Musa is the chairman of the club. Doesn't mean he has to be on the field of play. You can just tell him honorably, chairman, please retire. Rabiu Ali, yes, you can take a very big role in the team and still help in every capacity you want to help. Not necessarily on the field. On the pitch, Abdullah Shehu came to help the team. He had done whatever it is he wants to do in Europe. He's done fantastically well for himself, but he still doesn't have to be a player at Canopilas. I mean, there are things. Yes, we understand the fact that there are several leagues where all the players, you know, after they have traveled, they come back. Like the Brazilian league, if you check Fluminense, if you check Santos, if you check Palmeiras, you see ex-internationals who have actually come back to. I mean, Neymar is still in Brazil. Memphis Depay left Europe, has gone to Brazil. It happens everywhere.
All of them go back.
When you are way beyond redemption as a player, your prime time is no longer there. I mean, just find the time to quit. I think this is the right time for these players to actually go.
All right. That's the update coming through from the fixtures and the MPFL. Let's look at Ikorodu City quickly. Something about to go. It looks like they are intending, because you usually use one word, pretenders are always showing themselves in the MPFL. But right now, you look at Ikorodu City, 12 games played, 5 wins, 6 draw, and 1 loss. 7 goal difference, 21 points. They picked up a victory yesterday. Fantastic one for Ikorodu City. And what's it looking like for this team in Lagos?
Well, if you look at Ikorodu City, one of the challenges they have had so far this season is they have had too much of draws, especially away from home. They have drawn too many games. And, you know, as I always say on this show, that, you see, you are in crisis when you keep drawing games, because you don't even know if you are good or bad as a team. Because you're still getting something away from the game. You forget the fact that you are losing the majority of the points. Out of 3, you are getting 1. But how about if you draw 5 games, right? That means you have 5 points. But if you lose 3 and win 2, you have 6 points. So that's the logic behind it. So it's a lot better when you win or lose than when you keep drawing games, because you totally get yourself lost in the whole issue, and then you forget the fact that you are really sliding down the pecking order on the log. So that for me, for Ikorodu City, they have been able to manage that this season. They drew too many games at the beginning of the season, but we are beginning to see them get all 3 points.
Away from home now.
Even away from home, they are now on 21 points. That says a lot about, I mean, if Warri Wolves had won that game, it would have been Warri Wolves in that position they are right now. And of course, it has changed. The tide has changed, and they are sitting third on the log. That's what I say about the MPFL table. You see, just one game can actually change the narrative overnight. If you look at except for Kano Pillars that were deducted 3 points, you will realize the fact that from 19th position to where do we put it now, to 15th, there's just 3 points between them. I mean, if Bendel Insurance wins 1 game, as we speak, and Kung Kalifat loses, that means Bendel Insurance might likely go straight to 12th, 15th on the log, away from the relegation zone. And if Plateau United loses, they might likely drop. And if Remo Stars wins 2 games back to back now, they are moving straight from 17th on the log straight up to somewhere around 11 or thereabout. So it says a lot about how the table can actually change overnight. Now, depending on the goals you have, that is why, as a team, you convert your chances. You maintain what we call fair play on the field of play. Don't get too many unnecessary cards because it might just come to that at the end of the day. But the table is really in favor of every team as we speak, because whatever happens, it might just be one game that propels you from one place to another on the log.
All right, let's look at the table quickly before we talk about Shooting Stars game. And Nasarawa United are sitting first on the log of the table after that 1-0 draw right there on their home turf against Kwara United. The game ended 1-1, 12 points, 12 match played already, 23 points for them. Abia Warriors also are sitting second on the log of the table. Ikorodu City, Warri Wolves, Niger Tornadoes, Eyimba, Kwara United, Rivers United, a game. They still have 2 games in hand. They still have 3 games in hand, actually. We have Kano Pillars, Benin Insurance, Barao, Remo Stars right there at the log of the table. Let's talk about our darling Shooting Stars Football Club. Yesterday, they were chasing the antelope, but it looks like the antelope caught in chase of the hunter.
Up with the hunter.
Yes, it didn't work out for our darling Shooting Stars Football Club, and that has taken them to 11th on the log of the table. Samson Balogun, we were a team looking rejuvenated once again, but yet we are again. The last game was a draw, and now we had to lose against Rangers International. It's not looking too good for the team at this point in time.
Well, that's why I say you don't throw points away. If they had won the last game against Katsina United, that would have actually placed them right now 2 more points than that. That's 18. And that's a 4th or 5th on the log, regardless of, depending on what happens. And you see, it's really challenging at this time. But you look at what the table looks like. I think it is not a bad position for Shooting Stars as we speak. They have their last 2 games has been horrifying. They drew 1 and lost the other against Rangers. I want to believe that injuries actually culminated in what was one of the reasons they had a challenge when they traveled to Rangers. The coach had to manage and play 2 strikers, which was not the style they started with this season. Alien to some of these players, played with Sodiq and Kamara at the same time, and Promise Awusomi was not available because of injury. Even Ismail Ayodele Omobere was not available because of injury. So the flanks were empty. No one was there. So there was no threat going forward from the sides. The only threat that was available was through the creativity in midfield. But if you are creative in midfield and you have no attacker to give the ball to, so obviously what the crisis they had in Enugu at the Cathedral was not how to create chances. It was how to convert them. I mean, there used to be a leader in Nigeria that said, look, Nigeria's problem is not about money, it's how to spend it. That's exactly the problem they were having there. So it wasn't about creating chances. I mean, Ayobami Jr. was back. Ekiocha Chukwudi was available, who replaced Ayobami Jr. in their last home game. You had Kabiru Tijani, a fantastic guy, has been the revelation of the season. Aziz was also available. In fact, Adebayo was also, Kante was also available. And the good news, Desmond Ojeatifan was back fully fit from injury, was on the bench. That says a lot about how some players are coming back and some are going to injury. And it's a big problem because the players that are now going on injury, they are really important players to the team. I mean, if they had a player like Promise Awosami on the flank, on the right, it would have meant that, the Rangers team would have actually had to deal with him on that side. Maybe play 2 players trying to nip him, keep him silent on that side. Gives a certain player like Kabiru Tijani the freedom to float. Unfortunately, it was not there, so it was a one-on-one marking all through the game, which gave them a very big problem. They could not convert any chance, even though they created some of them. And, going forward, I think the coach will also have a replacement for these 2 players. Ismail Ayodele, Promise Awosami.
So if they are not playing, who can fit in that position properly?
That's the problem. Enachi, who was given a chance in their last home game, he showed quite clear, and of course it was obvious for anyone to see, he was match rusty. He had not played this season at all, and was just thrown into the fray. I mean, so many people were trying to blame him, but for a person who watches football, you would have understood the fact that it's not his fault. I mean, a player that has not played for God knows how long, and then all of a sudden you need to go and you are throwing that player on the field of play. It only takes grace and coincidence for such players to find themselves in a situation where and get you understand. But unfortunately, so many people we watch football with passion, but we forget the technicality behind it. You see, there used to be a player who played for Nigeria at a point. They call him Stephen Ayodele Makiwa. He played for Palermo in Italy too. He's one player, they call him Lion in training. He was a fantastic, in training he scores goals like drinking water. But when it comes to match day, he's always shy in front of goal. And you have some players who were rumored to be really poor when it comes to training. In fact, some of them don't like to train. But when they come to the field, they will represent. Hazard prefers to come from home and then be your starting 11, but trust him, he will deliver. There's a player called Yakubu Ayegbeni. He played for Middlesbrough in England. Fantastic player. He's one of the African record holders in the EPL as you speak. Played for Everton too. Fantastic player he was. So it's not about when it comes to recruitment. When you are recruiting players, you recruit replacements too. That means that for every position there has to be two players that play in that position.
And that's one thing shooting stars are lacking.
They are lacking that right now. Yes, the squad is large, but in strategic places, do you have these players? When it comes to the back line, shooting stars they are really loaded. At left back, they are Jamiu Aziz. They have Kubelen Houghton at left back. At the center they have Aladmin, they have Desmond Oji-Asifan, they have Bolagade Adelowo, they have some other players. I can't remember all the names. At right back, Murata Latai, though out injured, is a fantastic right back. One of the best. Was at Lobby Stars a few seasons ago before he came to Shooting Stars. They have Gali Falke, who is the captain of the team. Meaning that in those places, there are replacements. Key replacements. In defensive midfield, there's Adebayo, Kante, there's Aziz, and most definitely the mighty Alex Agawa is there. 3 players, same position. In attacking midfield, you have players like Ekiocha, Chukudi, I mentioned his name earlier. You have Adebayo, Tijani Kabir, you have Adebayo, Kante, and you have so many players. I mean, Ayobami Jr. also in that department. So in midfield, you have about 6 players. If one is not available, one is there. So most definitely, that place is covered. But when you talk about attack, they have Ibrahim, Sadiq Ibrahim, a fantastic striker, a good runner, fights for every ball in attack. But after Ibrahim Sadiq, who is the striker in the team? Kamara Adegoke, right? Yes, he's fantastic, but you cannot match the quality of players in all departments with what you have in defense and midfield. And then moving on from there, on the flanks, we know Joshua Akpan is a fantastic player, but he's been out injured for God knows how long. You have Ismail Ayodele Omobere. He's the only right-footed pacey attacker I know in that team, and he's out injured. Promise Awosomi is a fantastic left footer, also a winger. He's out injured. So when you look at the last 2 games they played, you will see, and it was obvious that these places they lack replacements. Because if they had like-for-like replacement for those players, when they were replacing players against Katsina United, when Promise Awosomi was withdrawn, due to injury, not technical ground, but due to injury, they had to bring in a striker in number 9 to replace a winger, and it did not work out for the team. So it became a problem. I just want to believe that the January transfer window is drawing near. There should be an holistic approach and review of the players in the team. Players who are more or less like extra tires in the team should be let go. And don't keep them on the bench when they are not going to play, because it does not help the team, it does not help their careers. And players who are going to be direct replacements for some players, especially in departments where you lack quality players, should be brought on board. Engage fresh players. I'm not saying this is the time for open trials again, just like they did at the beginning of the season. But I'm not saying they cannot get good players during open trials. But this is the time to go to the market, look for fantastic players that suit the coach's style of play, and of course can represent the identity of the team out there. Because when you are recruiting players based on what they can do on the field of play, you have to also recruit them based on their character. You cannot bring a Mario Balotelli into a team and then you say you don't want problem. I mean, there's a particular Yoruba saying, I don't want to use that, but they say you don't want problems. But then you are selling someone, your wife is selling alcohol, the husband is selling Indian hemp, and then you say you don't want problems. Even the son is a tax collector out there. So, and you say you don't want problems. So your recruitment philosophy has to be really strong. And there should be someone already monitoring that as you
this at
speak.
this point
There should
in
be
time.
a scout out
Yeah.
there who understands the vision of the coach. So when it comes to signing, you would I mean, some people were when Chelsea